Hi, my name is Dr. Armen Mirzayen. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I've been a CEREC user for over 10 years now, and pretty much all along I've been beta testing the software as the software has matured and developed over the years. One of the biggest advancements I remember was when CEREC went from 3 to 3D. That was an incredible achievement, and it brought a lot of people from traditional dentistry into CAD/CAM dentistry. I feel the same about software version 4.0. Some of the most incredible tools we've had, some of the greatest new features we've had have really made the whole integration process much more efficient, much more predictable, and much easier to use. Some of the features that I've really appreciated utilizing in the last few months have revolved around the multiple image catalogs that we have. In the past, we're just limited to 3 image catalogs: the occlusion, the opposing, the buccal bite, and the prep. But now we can actually incorporate more information and have multiple image catalogs. For instance, I might have a tooth that's been broken down, has a couple of cusps remaining, and I want to incorporate that information in the design process. I can grab that information along with the buccal bite, the opposing, and the prep model and incorporate that into the calculation for the restoration. Really pretty dramatic impact on our proposals and our design of the restorations. Obviously, the biggest one that we've enjoyed so far is the ability to design multiple restorations on the arch at the same time. In the past, we used to have to design one, send it to the milling machine, virtually seat it, and then design the next one. Now we can line up multiple restorations next to each other, check their contours, check their contacts, and finish the design with all of them together in the whole arch, and then mill them individually from there on. There are also some incredible tools that we have now available to us. Sure, the form tool and the smooth tool are still applicable in this situation, but we have the auto form and the 3D tools that help us move cusp tips into position much more easily and readily than we've been able to do before. One of the greatest features of the new software is how it's been ridiculously simplified so you don't get distracted with a lot of buttons, a lot of features, a lot of tools. Also, the storyline of how you design a restoration is much more fluid. I love the way you start the process. You first begin with the administration tab where you select the patient, you select the design type, you select the materials even, and then you proceed to the acquisition step. Very, very intuitive. You just follow the storyboard, and they have 5 tabs on the top of the screen, and it's really easy to know exactly what step follows the previous step. The image acquisition step, that tab actually is much more fluid than it ever was before. You can actually incorporate many more image catalogs than we used to before. We were limited to just 3. Now we incorporate numerous image catalogs if you wanted to gather more information or give more input to the software, so you can incorporate that into calculation of the restoration. Now, instead of having the antagonist and the prep model, the software is even more simplified. It just has the upper arch, the lower arch, buccal bite. If you have a biogeneric copy you want to do, you can incorporate that as well. It's much more fluid, and the whole platform, the whole design, the graphic interface is much more intuitive and much more easy to follow and know exactly what the very next step is. The next tab after the acquisition tab is the model section. In this model section is where you actually incorporate the buccal bite and have it stitched to the opposing and stitched to the prepped arch. You also have the opportunity to take some of the design tools and alter the model. Now, this is not for the lighthearted, this is for the advanced user, but you can literally take the form tool, the smooth tool, to your prep model and modify it to your liking if you need to. Some incredible tools in that department as well, very compelling. Now, the design phase, which is probably the most exciting part of this whole thing, is the opportunity you have to utilize many new tools. We've got the classic form tool, the smooth tool, the form minus tool that work very well in most of our hands. But we also have some auto form tools, the 3D tool, where you can actually move cusp tips in unison and not alter their shapes awkwardly. So it really expedites the whole process of designing a restoration. It's much more fluid, and it's very streamlined, and it's very compelling. The last tab is the mill preview tab. Here you can actually rotate the block around the restoration circumferentially and position the sprue exactly where you want it. That's a very common request we get from a lot of doctors, to be able to put the sprue exactly where you want it. You have the opportunity to check your parameters at this step, and it's much more visual, it's much more graphic, and it makes it much easier for you to comprehend how changing the parameters will affect the milling of the restoration. You can move the sprue position within the block. You can alter the position of the restoration within the block. You have quite a new tools to let you know exactly how the restoration is going to be milled, and it's much more fluid and intuitive. The BlueCam itself has been instrumental in unleashing the power of the CEREC software. In the past, when I designed a restoration, especially with the older versions of the software, we'd only have the information in the working field, which involved just the prep, maybe the adjacent teeth, and some occlusal information from the opposing. But now I scan from the second molar to the canine, from both the prep field and the upper arch or the opposing arch, and I can see exactly how this restoration blends into the arch form. I can line up the cuss tips, I can have complete control of the contours, and it's such an efficient way to get there with the blue cam as opposed to the red cam. If you've known me over the years with CEREC, you know I love the technology. I'm an absolute freak and a geek about it. And I can't tell you how excited I'm about where CEREC has come. I've seen more development in the last year and a half with CEREC than I have in the last 15 years. And it's so much fun to watch them incorporate all these new features that we could only dream of in the years past.